I'm gonna close this session, as you maybe might understood already, with an experience. So I will take something practical, what we see, something connected to what Renata just said in the previous talk, because my presentation, Animal Sanctuaries, the future we imagine, is a presentation I've done in different ways. And so for this conference, I thought to take into some Donaldson and Kimlicka to give a context to this place. But yeah, our experience actually can show that we have both the intentional community model, but also the advocacy model. It's something that has both. So during the presentation, you might hear some concept coming from Donaldson and Kimlicka, but other things coming from my main teachers, who are the animals living in the sanctuary, because they are actually the main teachers of everything I've learned so far. So this is me. You know already who I am, so I go on. So, as Donaldson and Kimlicka says, one of the fundamental challenges is to understand what kind of relationships humans might have with farmed animals once we stop confining them and killing them for food. So, and this is something we ask ourselves every day in the sanctuary. And so it's a question we have in our mind for a long time. Then I read Donaldson and Kimlicka, and then they put into words something that I was like, oh, wow, this is true. Another question is, what kind of relationships would horses, cows, pigs, chickens, every animal would be able to form with us as humans, but also with other members of their own and other species? Or what kind of friendship, family life, sex life, activities, things, various things they might want to engage in. So we know animal sanctuaries are those places where those questions are being asked, and actually we can give some answers already. So imagining is power is something we remind ourselves every day. So this is something we repeat ourselves as a team, and that's what is pushing us always forward, and that's what is making us think of new ways of living, but also about that's what makes us think of new possibilities for coexistence. So as a sanctuary, we also do not see the animals living there, the residents, just as refugees and ambassadors, but we also see them as main characters of this new future. And they are the ones co-creating this social structure, which is the sanctuary itself. So what would it mean to give them the possibility to explore those new ways of living? So for us, it's important to understand many things inside the sanctuary, and what we can learn from sanctuary structures is that how it's designed can limit or can create opportunities for them to experience themselves, to explore themselves, to learn, and to exercise control. So to see something more in details, let's start saying that every animal that is inside Capra Libera Tutti comes from farms and slaughterhouses. So that means they have a past based on violence, exploitation, suffering, and probably that means they got in the sanctuary with psychological and physical traumas. But what we always like to highlight and point out is that once they enter the gate of the sanctuary, they are no longer victims anymore. So they start on a new journey, they start on a new adventure, they start this journey of self-appropriation, because since that moment, we see they become owners of their life. So they are the deciders of their life. You see that things change quite quickly sometimes. And our role is to understand where they come from, what they've gone through, what are their needs, what is their ethology, and we feel like we just need to be facilitators to guide them into this process of self-appropriation. So it's always important to give them time and to understand that every animal has a different past and different needs, and so give them the freedom to decide for themselves. It's very important. And another thing we also like to say And we see, even here, is the freedom of association. So we often think that pigs want to be with pigs, chickens want to be with chickens, sheep with sheep, cow with cows. This is more based on human assumption, not on the animal needs. It's often the case because we see the majority of animals join the group of the animals of their own species. But as you can see here, this is a friendship that it's still going on today. It's a trio that do not want to separate from each other. But we also have Pierporco, the pig, that showed us clearly that he wanted to be with cows. He doesn't want to be with pigs. And then we have Nicolò, the cow here. I want to spend a couple of words for Nicolò. He is a cow with a disability. He actually got a case study, so he went through 2 years of osteopathy. We don't know any other cow with osteopathy. And so now he can walk again, but he needs to be in a fenced area. So he has different kinds of friends, but one of the main friendship is the one with Pirippi, the goose. And I could tell you so many examples. To go on with this, we want to design the sanctuary in order to support animal autonomy and flourishing. So this picture here shows the very first step every animal takes when they enter in the sanctuary. So they are actually entering a fence, a place we call welcoming fence. So it's a place for them to get comfortable with the environment, to get comfortable with us, because they usually have traumas because of farmers. They get comfortable with the new sounds, the new smells. They start interacting with the animals through the fence. And when we feel it's time, we open the gate. And so they start exploring the sanctuary. So the first area they explore is the lower area, where barns are, comforts are, where humans are. And some of them we see they like to live in such a place. So we see them, they are still there. But for others, there is something new. We've been pressuring the municipality to get the management of a huge mountain area. And for some animals, this is the case. So they live into the wild now. What is beautiful to say to you is that we are not used to see farmed animals into the wild. Maybe the case of the vine sanctuary we heard before, it's another case. Initially, we were guiding them in the mountain, through the hills, through the forest, but we were controlling them. We were taking them back home at night because we felt a huge responsibility. But now over the years, we see them knowing what to do, how to live into the wild. And the mind-blowing thing to share is that now they have a knowledge, they have a wisdom, they form a culture. And when we have new liberations of a new goat, a new cow, if those animals, the new ones, are ready and willing to go into the wild, they are welcomed by the community of animals living up in the mountain, in the forest, and the animals there are kind of passing all the knowledge and information to the new one. So there is something we observe, and it's changing over the time, and this is mind-blowing and so beautiful to see, because we are not used to hear this so much. And for other animals, like I take Nicolò as an example again, it's okay for him to live in a fenced area. He has a disability, so we have other animals that maybe are happier to be in a more comfortable place, because such a place is a place for them to be autonomous and to flourish, because he cannot be with other cows, he cannot be with big animals. So for some animals, we need to design spaces in a different way. This is another question that comes from Donaldson and Kimlicka, and so what do the animals like to do and how do we find out? I think we could talk for days about this. I've seen so many things in the sanctuary. So we know farmed animals belong to social species, and yeah, they like to belong. They like to observe. So here you see them watching people working, and I can tell you they were commenting as well, because they are working in one of their area. or they just want to see what we are doing, what the other animals are doing. So here they come to the window and they watch inside and they are curious to know what we do inside the house. Sometimes they are also happy to be around humans. So the sanctuary give them so many possibilities, and so you see that they express themselves in many different ways. So what everything I shared so far tell us about animal agency, and we truly believe this is something so important to share to people, to the public. So our is of course a community where animal agency is enabled at its maximum level. We try to design the sanctuary for this. And we truly believe this is something important to show to everyone, because people are used to see animals inside confinement places, dirty places. So places where animals lack of their agency. So, and this, we see this is something very transformative for people, and that's something that animal sanctuary can really do in order to contribute to animal liberation. And this is also something we truly believe and we see. As a sanctuary, we also do not see the animals just as ambassador, as I just said, but we, of course, they are themselves. And what we see is that they, for real, they are key players, main characters, that they are pioneers of this future. It's a community, so they are part of this community, and we see how effective they are with the people they encounter in the sanctuary. We will see more about this later. So this is the concept. We want to think of the animals as agents, as members, as co-creators of this multi-species society. So, of course, it's important to not act with paternalistic approaches, because this is something that can really limit their agency. So if we act with paternalistic approaches based on human conveniences, resources, security, we will probably block their agency. So we let them be, and thinking of them as agents, co-creators, members of this ongoing community that is constantly changing, because they are constantly shaping and changing the community. That's what we want to see in the sanctuary. So this is the concept. We also imagine sanctuaries like multi-species societies. That's what we see. And this is a picture taken in in a part of the mountain, and you can see there is a horse. There are horses, there are cows, there are llamas. So sometimes they live divided, sometimes they are connected, they live together. You see lots of things. And when we say multi-species society, we include humans too, of course. So we have a vision of a world free from all oppression, and of course we don't want to see a future where the other animals are free and respected, when at the same time people are bombarded, genocides, and discrimination based on gender, ethnicity, and so on. And to go on with this, we organize specific events. And as you can see here, you have Soya the cow that you met already with the talk that Ben made. And Soya the cow has a yearly presence at the Capra Libera Tutti Sanctuary. So we are waiting for Soya to come back this August. And this picture here shows a performance. And as you got to know already, she intersects the LGBTQAI plus movement with the animal rights movement, but also with the feminist movement, climate movement, and so on. So we invited Soya, but we invite also other artists, but also marginalized communities, social and climate justice movements. We work with a group of people with disabilities. So we do different kind of things, because we believe the sanctuary should be a place for gatherings, a place where we can learn from each other, a place where we can inspire each other, and I would say also contaminate each other. That's something we believe so much, and that's why we also see our sanctuary as a cultural center, because things are happening there. And that's how, all together, with all those other people, we can imagine this new future, because we try to make it happen there in the sanctuary, but then what happened in the sanctuary, it gets out in the society. And that's why we also have a full calendar with open days and events, because we believe it's important to be open to the public in the respect of the animals, but we have big events, small events. We have different kind of programs. Sometimes we go into specific topics, and we take people around the sanctuary, again, with the respect towards the animals. We see it's very transformative to tell stories of the animals when we watch them, when we look at them in the eye. So when we tell stories and people are there observing, so there are moments of observation, but there are other moments of interaction. If there is consent, because animals are, they talk. We need to understand their body language. They clearly say stuff. They communicate. So when there is consent, we also allow people to have interactions with the animals. So everything I shared so far is something that happened in the sanctuary, and then it goes out in the society. But we also carry on projects outside the sanctuary. So just to name one, because I heard it was mentioned before in the Renata talk, but also I heard about education a lot in the previous talk here. One of the main projects we are, how can I say, we are kind of developing, because we are on a stage of experiencing on how to be effective. It's the education program with schools and universities. So we work already with primary schools, medium schools, high schools, universities, and so on. So we go inside schools and we take what we do. We take stories. So the sanctuary is a container of stories. And so taking stories at schools, we found it is very impactful, and it's working very well. So I'm still trying to understand how to work with all ages, all different neighborhoods, or different teachers, and so on. So we are in this stage of experiencing, but this year we had lots of schools we work with, and then we allow schools to come to the sanctuary. So then we have open days just for schools, and we have programs with students inside the sanctuary. We do activities and so on. But we had lots of students coming to do the thesis also around the sanctuary. And another important project, before I close the talk, it's the veterinary students program. This is already the third year we do it. So we work with students coming from abroad, but also, luckily this year we start with Italy as well. So we started before with students from abroad, universities from abroad, but luckily now we start with Italy. So the first one is going to be on May 17. And I guess you know, but yeah, as a sanctuary, we work with veterinarians for farmed animals. And what we see, I don't want to generalize, but that's a fact. They don't know what they're doing because they come from a university that do not teach them how to care for the animals, but the university teach them on how to support the food system. And when they start working on the ground, they work with farmers, and farmers do not spend money on taking care of the animals. And so at the end of the day, when we call them, they come to the sanctuary, they have no idea of what to do. And so we've been changing veterinarians for a long time. We have some, we feel like we are doing something, but we see there is so much to do. And so we are working with students in order to give them a new perspective, a new point of view. Hopefully there will be different veterinarians in the future. There will be so much more I could share about animal sanctuaries, but I think it's time to go to the end. I hope maybe you're curious and to visit us one day. And now I just thank you for listening.